There are plenty of ways to break games. Sometimes you'll exploit a glitch or a playstyle that happens to be especially overpowered, or you'll get your hands on some of the best gear in the game that makes mincemeat of your opponents. One of the most interesting ways of breaking games, though, is via the means of weapon upgrades, and that's what we're going to be digging into in this list. Whether it's a weapon that was always pretty unbalanced and only became more broken after an upgrade, or a weapon that seemed pretty basic only to become unreasonably lethal once you've tweaked it, if you want to equip something that's going to make short work of anything that dares come up against you, then this is the list for you. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 weapon upgrades that broke video games. Number 10. ZENITH Sword, TERRARIA. The ZENITH Sword may be commonly accepted to be just about the best weapon you can wield in Terraria, but it comes from humble beginnings, as it's essentially an upgraded version of the Copper Short Sword, the crappiest weapon you can wield in Terraria. The unbelievable stopping power of this weapon riddles the screen with sprites of the sword which all deal the weapon's full damage. You only need to see this thing in action to get a great idea of just how lethal it is. Of course, such a killer weapon comes at a hefty price, which in this case is 10 other inferior swords, including your unimpressive Copper Short Sword. The Zenith ignores enemy invincibility frames, and each individual sword expelled from your attacks can hit enemies multiple times. It also magnetizes to enemies, so there's really no escaping it. It might take you the entire game to craft this thing, but it's absolutely worth it when you do. Nothing is getting past this thing and its 190 points of base melee damage, so enjoy breaking the game. You've earned it. Number 9. The Rift Inducer. Ratchet & Clank up your arsenal. There are loads of weapons from the Ratchet & Clank series that get seriously overpowered once you invest in them. Honestly, we could probably put a whole bunch of them on this list and they'd be right at home, but we're gonna opt for the Rift Inducer. Ideal for arenas and mobs of foes, this thing gets nastier the more you soup it up. And I mean, the thing fires black holes, that's very hard to go past. At its basic level, this thing fires a black hole which will draw in and kill nearby enemies. Upgrade it to the Rift Inducer V2 and you can combine multiple nearby black holes, which makes it even more powerful. The V3 upgrade gives you the lock-on mod, and the V5 Rift Ripper upgrade lets the weapon shock enemies nearby, just in case everything inside isn't already dead via the means of black hole. The Ratchet & Clank series makes weapon upgrading a delight in a way that very few games do, and this is a perfect example of that. Number 8. Erendite, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The way you'll be upgrading this one is pretty unusual, but given when you first pick it up, you'll be wondering what all the fuss is about, only to realize that with a little attention, it can easily be the best weapon in the game. I think we can say it belongs on this list. Erendite is actually a sword that's in every single Witcher game, but in The Witcher 3, you won't be able to get your hands on it until the Blood and Wine expansion. Luckily, it's absolutely worth the wait, especially if you plan to play through the game again in New Game Plus. You'll upgrade this silver sword by using it. Each blow generates charges which bump the weapon's damage by 10%, reach 100% and kill a foe, and you'll increase the sword's damage permanently. You'll lose the charges over time or if you take damage, but be a little careful with this beast, and not only is it capable of getting better right up until the end game and increasing its stats alongside your character level, it'll continue to do so in New Game Plus. Upgrade this one and utilize the 100% bonus damage with an assured crit, and it can be so broken there's no reason to pick up any other weapon. Definitely a weapon worthy of the requirements to prove your valor, honor, generosity, compassion, and another thing. Wisdom. Number 7. The CROSSBOW, BIOSHOCK. There are loads of great weapons in BIOSHOCK that get all the more impressive once you've upgraded them. While the wrench and shotgun are both capable of some extreme damage when you have them set up with the right upgrades and tonics, the CROSSBOW is an impressive but often overlooked useful alternative. Stack on the damage increase and bolt breakage decrease upgrades, which bump damage by 25% and help you salvage bolts from enemies, respectively, and you've got the beginnings of a very nasty piece of gear on your hands. This one will take a little bit of talent on your side, but if you can land headshots, you're going to get a 10 times multiplier, which will basically put everything down instantly. Add to that the fact that you can use this one stealthily if you like, and you'd be very hard pressed to find a better range weapon in the game. Fully upgrading the CROSSBOW at the power to the people machines will ensure you don't have to deal with bolts breaking, and utilizing trap bolts or incendiary bolts is never a bad idea. Pair this one with the Electro Bolt and consider pulling off animation cancelling so you can shoot faster, and absolutely nothing is going to be able to face up against you with this one. Number 6. Legendary Hero's Bat, YAKUZA Like a Dragon. YAKUZA Like a Dragon goes all in on weapon upgrading. Perhaps too far in if you ask me or any person who's sunk dozens of hours into grinding materials and cash for its extensive upgrade system, but at least you have to appreciate that it's in there. Since it's so extensive, that naturally means there are a ton of different weapons that can be upgraded, and they all have very long upgrade paths. One of the very best is the legendary Hero's Bat EXEX, the final form of the self-proclaimed Hero's Bat, which you'll obtain automatically. This bat isn't much to look at, but given some extra love and care, it becomes well and truly the best weapon for the hero class in the game, especially due to its extremely useful special effect, which grants more hits and regular attacks. You'll also get bonus electric damage, which is super deadly, and essentially end up with a weapon so impressive that the rest of your party can just hang back and chill. So, well done you. Number 5. Ebony Blade, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. There's an argument to be made that because of how broken smithing and enchanting are, every upgraded weapon in Skyrim could classify as a game-breaking upgrade, but the Ebony Blade is extra special. Much like Erendite, if you want to upgrade this one, it's a bit of a non-traditional approach, but this one's quite a bit nastier than its Witcher counterpart. In order to upgrade the Ebony Blade, you need to kill non-violent friendly NPCs. Start stacking up the bodies of your pals to a maximum of 10 innocent victims, and you'll gradually increase the enchantment attached to the weapon, making it more powerful. The blade also absorbs health at a base number of 10 and up to 30 once it's fully upgraded, and life leech is never a bad thing. While the base damage of other weapons might be higher, the Ebony Blade is extremely quick, especially for a two-handed weapon, so you'll be getting a lot of hits in and executing that essential enchantment more often. So long as you don't have too much of a problem with the moral quandary, enjoy wreaking havoc. Number 4. MURAMASA, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. When it comes to OP weapons from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, you're probably most familiar with the notoriously tricky to obtain CROSSBOW, but that's not the only impressive weapon in the game's arsenal. The unassuming Muramasa might not look like much. Actually, saying it doesn't look like much is kind of an understatement. It seems like a complete piece of trash when you pick it up, so much so that you think it's probably just a troll weapon, but it's actually really good if you invest in it. Although it reduces your attack by 5 and defense by 4 when you first pick it up, the weapon has a hidden ability where it levels up as you heal by blood when using it. Each time you blood heal, it gains a point of attack, and it gets an additional slash flurry every time it's swung whenever your damage output's over 30. The limit the weapon can be upgraded to is plus 999 attack, meaning if you can put the time in or tape down your attack button in a relatively safe area, it can well and truly be the toughest weapon in the game. If that ludicrous attack stat and life leech still isn't good enough for you, its attack pattern also evolves as the weapon gets better, so enjoy your murder sword. Number 3. Great Scythe, Dark Souls. Choosing just one Soulsborne entry for this list was tricky enough, let alone one upgradable weapon in just one Soulsborne entry. But the ever-reliable Great Scythe cannot be denied. Perfect for lightweight characters and capable of extreme decimation at its highest upgrade level, this very big blade absolutely shreds bosses. It's a fantastic dexterity weapon if you build your stats around it, and its reach and bleed damage make for a brutal combo. It also looks awesome, which has absolutely nothing to do with how it's going to help you break the game, but it's pretty great. While it's not too impressive on its lower variations, the fully upgraded Great Scythe should have you slicing and dicing your way through Lordran in no time. If you're sick of preparing to die and need to be the toughest thing in this brutal game world for once, this weapon is gonna help you do that. From its running attack to its 2-swing combo and ability to stun lock, there's nothing not to love about this one. Possibly accepting the fact that if you handle it right, this one's gonna make the game a little too easy. Number 2. The HANDCANNON, Resident Evil 4. Resi 4's HANDCANNON is an unusual addition here because you have to unlock it before you can upgrade it. You get this one by attaining 5 stars on all 4 stages of the Mercenaries minigame with every character. You can then pick it up from the merchant, and you'll notice its base stats are already pretty impressive, but it gets better. Invest in this one and you'll be able to access the gun's exclusive upgrade, which takes up its firepower to 99.9 and gives you infinite ammunition. If that seems to you like something that makes the game much easier, then you'd be absolutely right. Next to the rocket launcher, the fully upgraded hand cannon is easily the most powerful weapon in the game, dropping bosses with only 1 or 2 shots. Surviving the oppressive world of Resident Evil has never been this breezy. Number 1. Plasma Cutter, Dead Space. The plasma cutter from Dead Space is pretty darn essential because unlike many video game enemies, necromorphs need to be dismembered, not just headshot. Despite being the game's starting weapon, upgrading the plasma cutter will make it not only viable, but straight up deadly the whole way through the game. The plasma cutter starts off fantastic and only gets better once you up its damage, ammo capacity, speed, and reload stats. You'd expect this one to be too tricky to pull off, since there's actually a trophy you can get for making it through the game only using this one weapon, but by investing in it heavily, you'll be able to realize its full potential. Once you've got its fire rate as high as it can possibly go, you'll be so deadly you probably won't miss your other weapons too much anyway. That's the end of our list, but do let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any other weapon upgrades that broke video games. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like it, come say hi on my Twitter account where I'm @JessMcDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness.